All right, so continuing on with the saga of racing pro stock in a Polaris RZR. Just did the third to last race of the season, which was in October. And now I had to miss the November race, and now we're going on the last race of the season. And so what happened at the last race was, so I had this, you can see there should be an ear here. That broke off maybe 3 races ago, or I think it did. I'm not really 100% sure when it broke off. But now on the other side, the other corresponding ear that is 180 out from it has also broken, which is it's on the back side of this. You can see this piece of the transmission here. So what's happening is as you can imagine, now I have a pivot point on this bolt and the bolt on the other side, and now it's moving, which is causing it to operate very oddly. So I don't have enough time to pull the transmission out and get a new case for it or get a new transmission. But I do have time to try to alleviate the problem as much as I can. So what I've done is bought this SDI Elite Components motor plate. And what that's gonna do, and what I hope it's gonna actually do, is now I'll have a little bit more connection between the engine and the transmission, and it will keep that from happening until I can then later on add in the, what am I trying to say? Oh, get a new case for the transmission. I've also bought new clutches. These clutches, you can see here, the rollers here are pretty much flat. So I bought new rollers, but then after going through the process of figuring out how to take this apart and rebuild it, and coming up with all the other pieces to rebuild both clutches, it is actually less expensive, more or less expensive, to just buy new clutches. So I got the Mother Clutcher clutch kit, primary and secondary clutch here, which you can see, and I'm going to swap those out when I put everything back. I also needed to change this motor mount. As you can see, that has deteriorated to not being an actual mount. So that's what I'm doing next. And so I'm going to swap that out, and then I'm going to, so what I figured out is that there actually is a broken bolt in this hole here. So I have to figure out how to get that out. And then I'm going to install the motor plate. I'm going to align the engine transmission, and then I'm going to install the new clutches. And hopefully that will get me through the next race, which is about 90 miles. 6 laps of a 15-mile course. If I finish that race, I potentially, because I'm in second place in the Pro Stock Championship, I potentially win the championship if the person who's in first place hasn't shown up for the last 2 races. So we'll see if they show up. And if they do, and they're not cheating, I might be able to beat them. If they're cheating like they have been, yeah, that's going to be tricky. But that's where we're at. Really, that's all that's wrong with the car that I can see. So I got to fix that stuff and then see what happens. All right, so I tried drilling the bolt out inside with the mount inside, and not without unbolting and taking it out, but it was not working. I couldn't get a drill bit deep enough in there, so I took this out and got it from the other side, and it came out. As soon as I drilled through it with a couple drill bits, it came right out. But you can see just a little bit more detail of what's going on here. You can see down here, it's broken, and right here, it's broken off. So the goal now is I'm going to drill this out to get rid of the threads. I'm gonna run a bolt all the way through with a nut just to hold that. And then I've got that motor plate that I'm gonna go put on there. And that should be good enough, I think, to hold it for the race. I've also, in taking that off, I've noticed I have to get a new mount for here. This isolator is cracked, just probably from moving around so much. and I need a new bolt for this mount here. So all that stuff, you know, the joys of racing and abusing these cars is that you get to replace a lot of stuff. So yeah, I got to do that. But then after I do that, you know, considering what the condition has been in and what it's been able to do in worse condition, that should keep it to be able to finish the race and yeah, and do pretty well. So we'll see. Okay, so we're back at it. I have done a bunch of stuff to try to alleviate what I think might become a problem. And a couple of those, so I've actually right now I've installed the big plate that's in here, put it back in. I drilled through the bottom. First I tapped it just to see, then I drilled all the way through the bottom, and I put a bolt in there just to kind of see if I could get everything aligned and how solid it would be. I've replaced every single one of the rubber mounts, so the two on the engine and then the one on the back of the transmission. I've also gotten a Super ATV clutch alignment tool, which is this piece here, and I'm going to use that to make sure that I keep everything in alignment as I install the SDI motor plate. And this is going to be what I think is going to be the thing that keeps it from moving during the race. It can move a little bit, but I think having what I'm going to do is tap these two holes, and then these two holes here will have bolts in them with those that are being tapped, and then it will bolt this together. So at least, you know, if you look at that, and then you put these set screws in, and it should keep it from moving. And I'm going to hope that that is what does it. And that's the only solution I can come with now. What I should be doing is changing that transmission case out. I do not have time to do that. So that might be something I do later, but I'm going to go this route and see. It only has to last for 6 15-mile laps. So not even 100 miles. And if that can do that, then I'll be pretty happy with it. So that's where I'm at now. I'm going to tap all that out and see. Probably do another update after I get it installed about how easy it is. And this alignment tool seems to be pretty easy to use. It's got the spacing, which is 10.5 inches. It also has a tapered end on the front. And as long as it goes on and off smoothly, it's like a go or no go gauge kind of a thing. There is another level up, is the SDI, so same company that makes the motor plate. They make an alignment tool that actually has shafts that you put on and 2 parallel bars that you tighten down, and it goes another step further, but apparently you're able to do a pretty good amount of alignment with just that, and get it going pretty good on there. Yeah, so yeah, we'll see how it goes, and I'll do another update soon. Okay, so here we are. Installed the SDI motor plate. That's this nice aluminum piece here. And so tapped these 2 bolt holes, M10 by 1.25. And those are new bolts. And then these, so this is the bolt that I drilled that goes all the way through. There's a nut on the other side. This is a new bolt that SDI gives you for the added little thickness of the plate. So that's all in there. Then there's these set screws that kind of bite into the aluminum on the casings, and they should hold it together. So I still have the broken ear on the other side, on both sides on the bottom ear. So my hope with this is that there's enough bite and it holds it together for most of the race. I also have, you know, all right, so SDI motor plate is installed. It's this nice aluminum piece here. And so I had to tap these 2 new bolt holes here, M10 by 1.25. This is a new bolt that's a little longer than the stock bolt for the extra thickness of the plate. This is the bolt that I drilled out all the way through the other side, put a nut on the other side to add just a little bit of extra clamping to that. Then this also has these set screws here, these 3 small ones and then 1 big one that bite into the aluminum of the casing. And my hope with all that is that it will hold it for the race. And even though those 2 bottom ears are broken off, if there's any sort of wiggle, it just minimizes it. What I'm gonna have to be conscious of with driving it is that I don't slam the rear down. And if I do, it's like as minimal as possible. Because that is pretty much what makes that come loose, is that you have this constant slamming of the rear, and you only have the front and the rear of the engine and transmission that are mounted, so that middle flexes. There's a pivots there, and it breaks those ears off, and eventually just, you know, and in the mounts, there's oblong holes. So there is room for wiggle, for alignment. The problem is there's nothing to hold it in place. So hopefully that's gonna hold it in place. Now, after the race, my plan is to take that transmission out, swap the case, put it back with that motor plate, and that'll be like the best. But this is what I can do for now. And so, yeah, I'm just going to go for it, see what happens. And I'm gonna put, and the other thing is, like, so it's aligned. You can see here, if I put this, I bought this Super ATV clutch alignment tool, which is a basic clutch alignment tool, but you can see with it on there. So this is 10.5 inches center, tapered front hole there. This spins freely. So it is aligned and it is good to go. Just gonna have to see how it holds up over a race. So there you go. That's it.